what's up, Scrappy peeps? It's Del from Inkie Quill, and today I'm scrapping these two little sweet photos of Arch and I, and I'm doing a pattern paper background. I'm also using my typewriter for my journaling. So I was going through some of my actual scrapbook papers, not just paper pads, and I realized this is a paper pad, but I classify it more with my normal scrapbook paper because it is quite thick, and it's just double-sided, and my other paper pads are single-sided, so it is a better quality paper pad. So I decided I wanted to go with a dark background, I thought. And then I did a few different things to it. I was just going to use this black and white text paper, but then I felt like I wasn't going to do too many paper layers, so I felt like it needed like a border or something around it. I've been flipping through some of my older layouts in my wedding albums while I've been filming Patreon videos of the flip throughs of them, and something that I used to do a heap, and I've completely forgotten about it, I guess you could say, is matting pieces of cardstock with pattern paper. And so I decided to do a pattern paper mat, and I thought this black and white stripe was really nice and striking because Arch is wearing a little Batman bib, and that's where I brought the colors for this entire layout, because one of the photos is black and white, one of them is very muted in color. You've kind of only got the red of my hair, a little bit of navy on my top, and that yellow of his bib. So I definitely wanted to bring in the yellow. So I've grabbed some gesso, and I'm just making a big old splodgy mess right in the middle. And then I decide to experiment. I haven't done this before. I decided to do some drippy drips, and as you can see, I got two sad fangs. I got two very sad little drips, and so I had to help it out a little bit. I used my finger and just started off some of the drips, and then I just grabbed my paintbrush, and if you start off the drip and then tilt it a little bit more, that's how it doesn't look like you've made it. It looks like it was completely natural when we all know it wasn't. So now I grabbed this little chevron stencil. It's an old one from Amy Tan, and I just decided to go with a bit of a bolder graphic stencil rather than text. I think would have gotten too mixed up with the text in the background. Floral wasn't, or swirly kind of designs weren't really what I was going for, because I wanted to make a quite stereotypically boyish kind of page, only because of the Batman thing. And whenever I think of Batman, I think of Aaron and our friend Ben, who love superheroes and they're boys. So I just immediately go for a boy kind of theme. So then I grabbed this stencil, which I've barely used, but it's become one of my new favorites after using it on this layout. And I'm using some whipped spackle from Faber-Castell, and it's just like texture paste. It's a little bit softer, a little bit more expensive. I had it left over from a previous class that I taught, and so I'm just trying to get it used before it dries up, because it probably will dry up eventually. So I did these really tiny little white dots, and I feel like it really kind of made the background sink down a little bit, because that black is quite dark. It can be very overpowering, and by adding a few layers on top with the paint and the yellow stenciling and then the white whip spackle, it moves the background further back, if that makes any sense at all. I then grabbed my food ball, and it's 1.5 size, and I just outlined a couple of the chevron-y bits just to give them a bit of added detail, I guess, and to also tie in the black of the background. I feel like when you use black, you need to have a couple of hits of black, because if you only have one thing that's black, it does stand out a lot. I always try to have kind of at least 3 points of something. So here you've got the black of the background papers, you've got the black in the photo, and then you've got the black of the journaling that I'm going to do, and the little doodly pen bits around those chevron pieces. I'm just using some scrap papers that I just had lying next to me after I made a little journal, and I'm just trying to use them up instead of put it in the back of my stash. So you may see this heart paper again in a video this month sometime. Got my little photos ready, and because I'm feeling a bit lazy and there's a bit of mixed media on the page, I decided to just stick my photos down with glue just to make sure that they stick over all those little lumps and bumps from that little mini circle stencil. It's like what I imagine putting texture paste is like through fly screen. It was very tiny, but very, very sweet. So now I've got my journaling strips, and off camera I did type out my journaling because my typewriter is huge. I use an electric typewriter that I'm pretty sure I bought it off Gumtree, which is our equivalent to Craigslist here in Australia. And I was really lucky because I actually own, I think it's like 7 or 8 manual typewriters. We used to hire them out a lot for our wedding hire business that we had, and I just love typewriters. So I can't help buy one when I see it for a bargain price. And I was originally going to try and fix one of them so that it typed clearly, because the typewriter, one of the manual typewriters, was really beautiful and it was just a bit wonky, so the letters didn't always line up properly. So I was going to look at getting it fixed, but then I found this electric one. I think it was for maybe $50, I think, possibly $50, I think. And so I grabbed it, and I really should use it more often. The only problem with it is that it's so heavy and it's ginormous. It would take up almost this entire space on my desk that you could see. And it's got to be plugged in because it is electric. And so it's just a little bit cumbersome to use when I'm filming. So I added my journaling strips and I just stuck those down with a little bit of glue. And then I felt like I needed some sort of embellishment over to the right there. I'm going through and I'm having this same dilemma that I have every time I open this packet of flowers. I love these crepe paper flowers, but my gosh, they're ginormous. They're too big. They're way too big. And so every flower I go to put on is just huge. And even the leaves are a little bit too huge. So I finally settle on just this gold one. And then I do a little something to it as well. And the trick when you're using vellum like this is that you can see the glue through it. So I only did tiny little spots of glue, barely enough to keep it glued down, but enough that it wasn't spurting out everywhere. You only need a very minuscule little bit. I'm going through this wood veneer set that I had on my Rascog trolley that I had only recently gotten, even though it's a bit of an older collection. And I found this sort of little wood veneer that says, boy, oh boy. It's a little pack from Coco Vanilla. And I decided that was the perfect complement to this layout because I didn't want anything too colourful, I guess you could say. I just wanted something very neutral. Anything black would have blended in too much because of Archie's little singlet there. Anything too white would have detracted from my writing. So wood veneer is kind of a happy medium neutral kind of tone. I have this little pack of stars that one of my lovely friends sent me, and because I don't tend to reach for yellow as often as say pink and aqua and turquoise and white, I decided now was the perfect opportunity to use those yellow stars because it just hit that third hit. So like I was saying before, 3 hits of a colour is really handy. So here with the yellow, you've got the yellow of his bib, you've got the yellow of the stenciling, and now you've got the yellow of the stars. So keep that in mind if you're looking at your layout and you're thinking something's not right, something's not working. See if you've got 3 of your main colours, and if you've only got maybe 1 splash of that colour, you might want to try and add a little bit more somewhere else. It doesn't have to be the same product or the same technique. You can add something different. So now let's see, what am I adding now? Tiny little hearts and stars. Because I don't use yellow, I'm using those little yellow hearts. Same with the green and orange. I really try to use them as much as I can. Sorry, I'm a bit out of breath. It is boiling hot here and I've had to turn off the air conditioner to record this video because my computer is right underneath the air conditioner. And it's the middle of autumn and it's so hot today. I think it's about 33, 34 degrees, and it's just too hot for autumn. So I'm a little bit puffed out of breath. So now I'm adding a little bit of a tangent there about the weather. How interesting am I talking about the weather? So now I'm adding a bit of a doodly border with my white Uniball Signo in the broad tip, and I love this pen. It works great for me. I know there's a lot of what am I trying to say? There's a lot of frustration in the scrapbooking and craft world about white pens, because sometimes they're not very opaque. Other times I find anyway a lot with the Posca pens that they seem to just die very quickly. So it is tricky to find your perfect white unicorn pen. But so far, touch wood, I've had no dramas with this one, no major dramas anyway. Adding a little bit of Hardy Shine, and this layout is basically done, and I freaking love it. Okay, I know I said that I was never going to love pattern paper background layouts, but I'm growing. I'm warming to them. Not everyone's going to be a pattern paper background, but I'm on a bit of a use up my paper stash thing at the moment, and using white cardstock doesn't really use up my pattern paper. Thanks so much for watching today, guys, and don't forget I upload a video every Friday on my second channel, Let's Get Inkie, if you want to head over there and subscribe so you don't miss out. But I will see you guys very, very soon, and have a lovely day. Bye!